Big news in the NBA yesterday. Jason Kidd is out as head coach of the Mavericks after 5 seasons, despite still having 4 years and more than $40 million remaining on his contract. New Mavericks president Masai Ujiri is making his first major move since taking over as president, parting ways with Kidd, of course, who led the team to 2 conference finals and an NBA Finals appearance. This kind of slid under the radar yesterday because I feel like it happened right before the Knicks game tipped off. But nonetheless, how surprised are you at what's going on with Jason Kidd and Dallas?
I wasn't surprised because, a year ago, Jason Kidd wanted to coach the Knicks. Okay? After the trade, he wanted to coach the Knicks. And that's how he got that contract. You always get paid when somebody else wants to hire you, right? And then during the season this year, after Nico Harrison got fired, he had interest in becoming the team president. He wanted to replace Nico, which obviously didn't happen. And, how many times you got to be told you don't want to be the coach. The other thing is that Masai Ujiri has made very clear, if you had anything to do with the Luka Doncic trade, you're in trouble. And they are pretty, they also let go some front office staff yesterday. Front office staff that could have stayed, there were other people who were let go yesterday, not just Jason Kidd. So, this is, so it really started coming through the NBA last week during the draft combine because Jason Kidd's level of involvement at the draft combine, especially for a team that had a lottery pick. Mavericks have a very important pick. His level wasn't the normal level of a coach. Normally their coach is going to be heavily involved side by side with your GM and your president. That was not the case in Chicago. Everybody noticed it. So if you're asking me whether I was surprised, I was not surprised.
But the money, 4 years, $40 million?
Well, the Adelson family has the second most money after Steve Ballmer. Don't worry about them. They'll be fine. Also, there's a real chance Jason Kidd's going to get another job at some point, and that would wipe that out. I want to talk about going forward, because going forward, this is a very highly sought-after job because of Cooper Flagg. You look at Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. The Spurs are 1-0 in the conference finals now because of decisions the Spurs made 2 years ago. Who they decided to draft. The Stephon Castle pick was big, and then the Dylan Harper pick. And then deciding after Greg Popovich, had the stroke that they would go with Mitch Johnson. That was a big decision. Those were big decisions that the Spurs made that put them in position now. We are at that spot with Cooper Flagg. Who the Mavericks draft in this spot, they have a lottery pick. Who they hire for this job, very, very important for the future balance of power. Because I am as high on Cooper Flagg almost as I was on Victor. I am as high on Cooper Flagg as any prospect, basically, other than Victor in the last 20 years. I loved the way this kid played. I don't like to say a kid. He's not a kid. He's a young man. I love the way he played. I love the way he competed at both ends. I think he is set up to be a transformational player there. So who gets this job going into his second year? Very sought after, very important hire. Masai Ujiri's got to get it right.
Well, they hired Nick Nurse in Toronto, and Nick Nurse won a championship. I'm sure he's got a couple of guys in mind. Kid seems to run out of fuel. Milwaukee out, Nets out. He seems to, run his course after a certain amount of years. I will let you answer that. But I agree with you on Flagg. What pick do they got in the draft?
I think it's number 9.
9. It's a good draft. Yeah, they're gonna. And is Kyrie Irving? Is he definitely returning?
He's coming back. He'll have been a year and 16, 18 months off the ACL.
Is he going to be into it?
I think that
Play 75 games and ready to go.
Well, I question whether or not Kyrie will finish next year with the Mavericks, but I think the ownership and the leadership wants to see Kyrie next to Cooper Flagg because that pairing could work. But I do think, they're obviously separated by 10, 12 years, 13 years. So I don't know if it's going to last a long time. But I don't think that Kyrie is going to be in the get him out of the camp list.
Steven?
A few things that need to be said here. I like Jason Kidd. I think he's a damn good coach. I think he will be a head coach again in this league because he deserves it. Having said that, his record with Luka Doncic was 136-87. Trip to the Western Conference Finals and a trip to the NBA Finals. His record without Luka Doncic was 69-118. You are talking about a superstar basketball player who is a global iconic brand. And this team traded him for somebody injury prone who is 6 years older, who, by the way, is no longer even with the franchise because you didn't trade in Anthony Davis to the Washington Wizards. when you think about it, Jason on the record, particularly after Mark Cuban, the Nardi owner, former majority owner for the Dallas Mavericks, accused Jason Kidd of being fully aware of the Doncic situation, where Jason Kidd had to come out and clarify and say that he wasn't aware of anything until the 11th hour. Nevertheless, he's associated with the Luka Doncic trade. And if we're being honest, anybody who had something to do with that should lose their jobs. And I don't say that with any pleasantries. Nico Harrison is a good dude, and I think a smart basketball mind who, outside of this situation with Luka Doncic, you can make an argument he was doing a hell of a job. They got to the finals. He acquired PJ Washington. He acquired Daniel Gafford. Obviously drafted Lively and all of these guys. Acquired Kyrie Irving. There's a lot of good that he did. Well, obviously they should have kept Jalen Brunson. That was a mistake. But the bottom line is that he was doing a good job. He will forever be attached to this deal as one of the worst in NBA history. And people could talk about how, there's plenty of people knocking on his door to offer him a job running their basketball operations. Let me be the first to say I don't believe that for 1 second, because I think the residue of this is going to be harmful for years to come, because it's not just about basketball. It's about business. And the one thing no one can argue about when it comes to Luka Doncic is that he was good for business, because he's a global iconic figure. And he can help sell your franchise, not just nationally, but abroad. In the case of Jason Kidd, it applies to him to a lesser degree. And that is why, you can't sit up there and just poo-poo these decisions. Masai Ujiri, he's an elite executive in this game, universally respected as one of the best in the business. Certainly him wanting to hire his own guys play a part in it. But it also leans on what Doggy said. A few places, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, etc., where Jason Kidd, there's been some turbulence before he departed. Why should Masai Ujiri want to keep him instead of bringing in his own guy? Why would you? So he clearly made the right decision for himself. He's letting it be known that this is his franchise. He's the one who runs it. And I have no doubt that one of the conditions under which he took this job was making sure that he would have the power to make this kind of change. That's not a decision you just walk into the office and then suddenly you make that change. You get hired, and before you get hired, you let them know, listen, this is what I will want to do. Is that going to be a problem? Because if that is, that's not a job that I want. So you got to look at it from that standpoint. In the end, again, Jason Kidd will be a head coach in the game sooner than later, because he can coach. He is relatable to players. They're very, very big on development. I love the job that he did with putting the ball in Cooper Flagg's hand and having him be your point guard, even as a rookie. You could see his development, his maturation, his growth take place. And you got to give Jason Kidd and his staff all the credit in the world for how they've helped it along. But it doesn't come without its issues. And the bigger issue is what Wendy pointed to. Luka Doncic is gone. And yes, he did not play in these playoffs. But let me tell you something. Before he got injured, he was averaging damn near 40 over a stretch. He was an MVP candidate. He was absolutely positively elite, and the Lakers were benefiting from it. Not just on the basketball court, but at the box office. Not just at Crypto.com arena where people walking through those turnstiles, but nationally and abroad, because he's that kind of magnet. You do not give up on somebody who essentially can pay for themselves because of the popularity that they have and the money and the revenue that they pour in for you. You just don't do it. And that's what the Dallas Mavericks did under Nico Harrison and Jason Kidd. And it will live with them in infamy.